Hi, good evening, everyone. It's a pleasure to be amongst friends and teachers here. I just upload my presentation. Oops. Are you able to see it?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So, after the wonderful talks and the recent advances, I'm going to really shift to the basics and we'll talk primarily about periocular rejuvenation, and I am basically going to focus on two small areas in the interest of time. One is Botox, that too contouring rather than just treating the wrinkles, and the second is with fillers. So we all know that botulinum toxin is a very popular treatment for wrinkles, and these are pretty straightforward. I'm sure everyone who is on the panel and the attendees here would have practiced one or multiple indications. And this is a pretty straightforward option where you relax the muscle and the wrinkle reduces. But there's something more interesting to this, which is called as facial contouring, where you actually change the anatomy by distributing the forces or redistributing the forces between two opposing muscles. And one example here is the shape of the brow, as you can see when there is an attempted elevation. So if you want to change the shape of the brow with the tail end slightly higher than the head, then what you basically need to do is to relax the frontalis muscle in the center. This is your eyebrow. And if you inject in the frontalis area and the procerus, then the head of the brow is going to come down. And if you block the orbicularis on the outer aspect of the orbital rim, then the tail is going to go up. So you redistribute the balance between frontalis muscle and the orbicularis. So that's where you would block the orbicularis, and in the central area you block the frontalis. Obviously, these changes are more evident in a female brow, and the results can be very subtle, as you can see in this particular patient. For anything drastic that one would want, a surgical option is required. But this is a good option to keep in mind, especially when you have very little hooding of the upper eyelid. Patient is not really keen about a bleph, and you can really take that skin fold up by just elevating the brow in this manner. Talking about fillers, we had a session 2 days ago, but I'll repeat this because it's very important. Both these patients tend to have a fold in the upper eyelid skin, and at the first reflex, one would think of a blepharoplasty. But this skin fold is appearing only because there is a collapse of the outward contour of the brow, and that is because of volume loss. So all you need to do here is to fill the brow with either filler or fat. That depends on what is the uh, parallel procedure that's planned for the patient. And once you do that, not only will that fold disappear, but you will also get a convex contour to the brow, and that is what most patients desire. And this can be achieved with a filler injection into the brow area. Now, this is a video which just shows brow injection. So here we are injecting beyond the orbital rim. So this is not really going into the orbit, not transseptal, but into the retroorbicularis oculi fat, just above the periosteum of the superolateral orbital rim. So here is a change after the filler injection into the brow. Here is another patient. You can see this fold disappearing after brow filling. Side view of the same patient. And about tear trough, I'm just going to block this voice here. Oops, sorry. Okay. So here what we are trying to do is to fill within the tear trough, but not exactly into the depth. What I tend to inject nowadays is along the cheek slope of the tear trough and not really into the depth of the valley. And filling into the cheek slope not only gives me a thick skin beyond which the filler can hide, but it also gives me a better contour in these patients.
Okay.
Just going to move to the next slide showing some of the results. Here is a young patient. These two are young patients who have a tear trough, one more gross than the other, but both were managed just with a filler. Here you can see a little bit of Tyndall effect. Another patient where filling into the cheek anatomy. It's a relatively young patient but with a deep sulcus. Filling into the cheek anatomy actually reduces the tear trough. You can see that there is a bulk appearing here. Although this, if you look in isolation, it will look like an overcorrection. But if you compare it to the pre-anatomy, the pre-injection anatomy, this patient looks much less tired in the post photograph. Another example of filling into the cheek area, into the tear trough area, sorry. And here is another deep tear trough in a young person filled with a deep supraperiosteal filler. Another example, tear trough which is extending all the way along the lateral orbital rim. The entire area was filled. This particular pigment patch was also treated by the dermatologist with a chemical peel. Side view of the same patient. As you have age going beyond 45, it gets a little tricky because the skin elasticity is low, but there are still some patients on the fence where you can get a good result and get away with a filler rather than doing a surgical correction. And in patients with slight amount of fat prolapse, you don't really have to jump into a surgery, but you can just fill the gutter underneath it and the contours change and they look more youthful. So just to summarize here, we talked more about contouring with Botox rather than wrinkle treatment. And for the fillers, we focused in the interest of time on just the brow and the tear trough.